Good morning and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Thursday, January 12th. And again, another adventurous drive into work. Many schools closed across the area. And for Gratiot County, at least, I think there should have been a winter weather advisories. Just in the last few minutes, they have issued winter weather advisories for much of southeast lower Michigan, and that's a good call. Freezing rain and then some snow, especially across the center part of the state. Not a lot of accumulation, but we could see another 1, possibly 2/10 of an inch of freezing rain kind of around that Lansing, Flint area down to the south a little bit, and then maybe up to an inch of snow across mid-Michigan. And then we're going to look at a couple of reasonably quiet days before we look at another pretty significant storm as we get into early next week. Right now, the best bet is we start off with just a little bit of snow, and then warm air surges in when we get probably between a ½ inch to an inch of rain. And another factor to this morning's weather could even be some good thunderstorms across southeast lower Michigan, where yesterday they were in the upper 50s. So very balmy spring-like weather across southeast lower Michigan, but that's going to change, and we're going to be quite cold over the next couple of days across the entire area before we warm up for next week. But don't worry, for you winter lovers, we're about 12 days away from a major weather pattern change, again back to very, very cold, potentially stormy weather. And if we look at the normals for the day, our normal high is 27, the normal low is 12. And on this date back in 1918, we had a record low of 15 degrees below zero, but we also picked up 13 inches of snow. It's very rare that you get tremendous cold and that much snow, but we had a major winter storm come out of the Gulf of Mexico, the Texas Gulf Coast, and move up towards Lake Erie into Ontario, and that created quite a blizzard. In fact, if we look at the weather map for January 12th, 1918, you can see the low pressure system down to 28.7 inches of mercury. And here are some of the snowfall amounts: 13 inches at Alma, 13 inches at Grand Rapids. So in this area across central and southwest lower Michigan, back into Illinois and western, across eastern Wisconsin, 19 inches at Milwaukee, 8 at Green Bay. So a very tremendous storm and very low barometric pressure for this time of year as that big storm moved up into the Great Lakes. And if we look at the warmest and coldest temperatures yesterday across the lower 48, highest 88 degrees at Coachella, Texas, and the lowest temperature 34 degrees below zero at Loma, Montana. And if we look at conditions around the area yesterday, you can see temperatures mainly in the 40s, and we had quite a bit of precipitation. But look in southeast lower Michigan, 56.9 degrees at Blissville for the high, and Lansing picked up about 3/4 of an inch of precipitation. Again, many areas between a 1/4 and a ½ inch, a little bit less as you head off towards the north. If we look at the temperature now for the month, we're now above normal, and we'll see that here over the next 10 days continue to climb. And then the last week of January, we turn sharply colder. And if we look at the current conditions around the area, temperatures have slipped down into the low to mid-20s, and with precipitation again moving in. Winter weather advisories again issued. I think Ionia and Gratiot, maybe even Montcalm should probably be in this. We have just terrible driving conditions here across Gratiot County. And again, another slug of precipitation is going to be moving into the area, and the area of concern is around the Lansing area, maybe up towards Flint. That area could see about 1 to 2/10 according to some of the models. And if we look at the radar, you can see that next area of freezing rain and snow beginning to move into the area. And again, I think for central Michigan, it'll be mainly in the form of snow, but it could have some freezing rain mixed in. And some of this precipitation even spawning some thunderstorms in those areas could certainly hit southeast lower Michigan with more thunderstorms down around Blissville, Jasper. And if we look at the weather map this morning, you can see low pressure system that's responsible for this next batch of precipitation to move into the area, will move off to the northeast along that front. Colder air coming in behind it's going to change any precipitation before it ends over to some snow across central and northern lower Michigan. And then the big storm that's going to create winter storm conditions with possibly an ice storm across the southern plains into the Ohio Valley, taking shape now in the Colorado area. It's going to drop down to the south and then move to the northeast. And again, this whole area is going to have a tremendous amount of freezing rain as it looks right now. And then finally on Saturday morning, again, we see that low pressure system, a next one developing, the next one, that'll affect us, now coming in off the Pacific, and that'll move right up towards the Great Lakes. And again, that could spread some snow into the area by Sunday night and Monday before it changes over to rain. If we look at the 48-hour ice accumulation forecast map from the GFS, you can see some of the areas of concern across south central lower Michigan, southern lower Michigan, where again, quite a bit of ice. You know, you get over 1/10 of an inch of ice, especially if we can get the temperatures down around 27, 26, 28 degrees or colder. that has a chance to really accumulate on everything. You get up towards 31, 32 degrees, and usually is not that impactful. But we expect temperatures to continue to fall into the 20s across much of the area. And if we look at the next map, you can see some of the snowfall. Again, not a lot, but the worst case scenarios whenever you get ice is that you get the ice first and then a layer of snow on top of that. That really makes it tremendously slippery, and we do have some of that falling as well. And if we look at why we've been somewhat warmer and why we're going to be warmer next week, you can see really since the beginning of January we had a nice big spike, positive spike in the SOI, and again that's being responsible for this ridging across the east. And we're going to expect a big crash in the SOI here over the coming week or so, and then that'll translate into some troughing across the eastern U.S. And I think we're going to see a lot of cold air that's bottled up in Canada come crashing into the lower 48. It's going to undercut that ridge, and that'll bring us, excuse me, there you go. Eventually, if you look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, we're definitely warmer than normal, but as we get to day 12, day 13, day 14, we're going to see a lot of cold air coming in. The upper ridge that's been in this area is going to move to the northwest, and that's going to allow cold air to come in, undercut that ridge, and bring much of the lower 48, much colder conditions, and could be with a bang as well. We could expect a pretty significant storm that'll help to pull that cold air down in the lower 48, but we're about 10 days away from that right now. Starting to see some snow indications on some of the extended models, but again, we got a lot of time to look at that. And now on to Weather Watch this morning. You can see a large area of freezing rain advisories now issued across much of Illinois up into southeast lower Michigan. Winter weather advisories for snow in the UP and back into the Dakotas. And again, the big story will be the ice storm coming out of the southern plains into the Ohio Valley here over the next 48 hours. Thanks for stopping by and have a great day, and 73s to all.